The Marching Roundtable is proud to be an official media partner of Drum Corps International.
Thanks for coming to the Marching Roundtable YouTube channel, sharing great information to help you succeed in all the marching arts. While you're here, we hope you'll subscribe.
Energy and vibe is super infectious, especially in an environment like this. And like one of my biggest roles, I feel like, is mediating that vibe. Being the mediator of the vibe is what I always say, making sure that the battery or the percussion section is in a place energy, vibe, commitment wise on any given day, any given block, so that we can be comfortable enough to give our best selves. Yeah, like Tyler said, it's not about necessarily I'm trying to beat you, I'm trying to beat me every day, right? And so you have to be completely comfortable, at ease and be able to be a little vulnerable so that you can be in a headspace to be your best self on that field every single day.
Just being able to have that tiny little moment with each individual person, I think, is incredibly powerful. I think it brings me closer to them. It makes them feel like they can be closer to me. So when there are actual issues and problems, they're a lot more comfortable coming to me with them. And we can actually sit down and have a conversation. We have that common ground and that established connection already, which makes it a lot easier.
One of the big things I've learned is like putting any kind of personal issues aside and making sure that my members are okay first and foremost, and making sure that they know they can always come to me, and building that kind of like foundation of caring that we would need to have, especially with my section, because our average age is 16 and a half, so we have a very young guard.
Greetings from DCI. This is Drum Corps International staff wishing Marching Roundtable and Tim Hinton the very, very best on your 1000th episode. We're so grateful for everything that you have done for marching arts all around the world. Keep up the great work. Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Hey everybody, it's Tim Hinton, the Beast of the Marching Arts, and we are talking about the Academy today. One of my all-time favorite drum corps shows is an Academy show, and I love talking to this corps. I love getting to talk to all the corps. And today, we have a group of members, of leaders here at the Academy. So this is going to be extra special, and they stopped in the middle of their drum corps rehearsal day. Actually, everybody, at the very beginning, they got up really early, very beginning of their drum corps day to talk to us. So Josh Thye is here, the corps director. Josh, how are you?
Good morning. Thank you, Tim.
I'm so glad that you put this group together. I'm going to say hi to everybody. Sammy Rodriguez is here, one of the drum majors. Sammy, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you this morning, Tim?
I'm good. Thank you for being here. Eric Daniels is with us, another drum major. Eric, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Tim. How are you?
I'm good. Everybody, we all signed in separately on Zoom, so that's what's happening. And if hopefully you're watching the video version so you can see all these faces. Horn Sergeant Tyler Barrett's here. Tyler, how are you doing?
We're vibing. Glad to be here.
Yeah, awesome. So glad you're here. And Guard Captain Emily Dudek is here. Emily, how are you?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
I'm good. We just had an interesting conversation about Starbucks. And if you watch the last interview, everybody, I'm still sucking on a medicine ball from Starbucks because it's so amazing for getting over my little summer cold. And I'm fine, everybody. Don't worry about me. I just sound a little rough if you're used to hearing my voice. And battery section leader, Kyle Angilletta is with us. Kyle, how are you?
I'm doing great. Excited to be here. Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, thank you so much. So Josh, we'll start with you. We're going to go around everybody and just quickly learn who these people are. And we're going to be talking about how they're building the culture this summer here at the Academy, something that everybody is interested in. And corps members, I'll tell you, like, this is probably the number one thing that directors or instructors will ask me is like, how do we build that culture that I see these other programs have where everybody's performing on all cylinders and everybody's all in? Like, this is, people are really interested in this. So I appreciate you talking to me about it today. So Josh, first introduce yourself as corps director. Thank you for putting this together.
Absolutely. And once again, thank you, Tim, for the opportunity. Once again, my name is Josh Thye, the new corps director this year with the Arizona Academy. And I happen to be an alum from the very, very early stages of the Academy. In 2000, when it was just a little local brass ensemble in the Tempe area. And then in 2001, when we called it something, but we called it the Arizona Academy of the Performing Arts. And it was just a brass and percussion ensemble at the time. We're excited to get a DCI show back to the Phoenix area in 2001. That was a really neat opportunity for us, just brass and percussion, to perform Stand Still on the track that night, and to be a part of that event under the leadership and dream of Mark Richardson, the founder and current still executive director of the organization. I just happened to be in the trumpet section, and I was aging out, if you will. So I had a unique drum corps experience, and I've told the board, when the board of directors came to me leading into this season about this potential opportunity, Mark and the board of directors, I was the first one to raise my hand and be like, well, you might have called the wrong person. I'm just a high school band director, right? I was a longtime high school band director in the area, was connected with the Academy, of course, as an alum. Very proud fan. I will tell you, I benefited from the Academy as well, because I was an area band director. I always had a stream of Academy alum that would come back and teach, and other staff that were connected, designers connected. So I always benefited from the Academy being in our town. But I raised my hand and said, I think you might be asking the wrong person. You're probably looking for somebody with a ton of drum corps experience, and I would not be that person. And they said, well, no, we're interested in you because you've been able to accomplish a couple things in some of the programs you've worked with. And we've heard you talk about this word culture a lot. A couple of the individuals that had known me and knew my heart, and it was a word that came up right from the beginning. And I know today, I believe we're going to kind of stay on this topic of building culture, which is something that that's really important to me, and these group of individuals you have on the screen here as well, that have decided to return, and a few of them being age outs, which is a big decision, and to return to the Academy here, and I'll let them speak to that. But I'll just tell you that I was honored when Mark and the board came to me, and this was actually a little late in the game, but back in November when we made that official announcement. And I will tell you that for me, this opportunity, we'll talk about that word now, this turned into actually a show concept for this year, but this opportunity for me was something that I very much valued. And I'm in a place in my life I'm married with 3 kids, one in high school, one in middle school, one in elementary school. The days are busy, and I just need a quick shout out to my wife out there who's holding down the fort for me to play band, as she says, this summer. But I'm thankful because I am a proud alum. I'm also a big believer in what this corps has stood for from the beginning, thanks to Mark Richardson and his leadership. And it's something that absolutely resonates with me, and something that I was more than willing to attach my name to as well, just like the individuals on this call. And so without talking too much right now, I'll just tell you that journey, this chapter, if you will, just started recently for me, right? And the individuals on the screen had some choices to make. They had some choices to make after the season ended last summer. They had some choices to make as we started moving towards December. And I will tell you just publicly, I am beyond humbled and honored that these individuals and the individuals that are on this field just outside here at Flagstaff High School chose the Academy. That's a bigger decision than maybe some people even realize. Just those choices in life, the choice to do drum corps at all, right? Anybody that has done it, that's doing it now, understand how big of a choice that is. The financial implications of that, the time implications of it, the commitment level, but then also choosing a corps to kind of attach your name to attach your experience to. And especially, once again, the few that are on the screen that are actually aging out this summer. And what does that mean to go ahead and finish the journey right here? It's something that motivates me as a leader. And so, in short, not so in short here, I'm really thankful for this opportunity. And I will tell you, this is an organization that not only says what, these certain values and belief systems, they actually operate by them and believe by them. And once again, this is all a product of Mark Richardson and his leadership. And so I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, Mark's done such an amazing job, and it's been fun to cover the Academy over many years now and get to talk to so many different people involved. So let's go around and say hi to all the different the members. So Sam, if you can introduce yourself.
Sure. Hello, my name is Sammy Rodriguez. This is my 3rd season as drum major at the Academy. And actually, when I'm not doing drum corps, I study 2 things with my life. I do band and airplane. So I'm studying aviation and then jazz at Oklahoma State University. But I'm very happy to be in drum corps this season.
Very cool. I have this immediate image of you playing jazz on an airplane. That's pretty cool. I like it.
Oh, I'd love to.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen. Very good. And then the other drum major with us today, Eric Daniels. Eric, introduce yourself, please.
My name is Eric Daniels. I just recently turned 19 years old. It's always great to celebrate your birthday on tour with the people that you love. I am originally from Statesville, North Carolina. This will be my 2nd year as drum major with the Academy, and I'm doing it with the best team possible.
I love that. Okay, great. Tyler.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tyler Barrett. I'm Horn Sergeant here. This is my 4th year with the Corps, 5th with the organization, on euphonium. And yeah, I'm just super excited to be here.
Okay, awesome. So glad that you're here with us. And Emily, if you introduce yourself, please.
Hi, my name is Emily Dudek. This is my 3rd year with the Academy Color Guard, and I am one of your age outs this year.
Awesome. Thank you for being here representing the color guard and representing the drum line. Kyle, introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Kyle Angilletta. This is my 4th and final season here with the Academy, 5th with the organization, spending some time in the like feeder sound sport program that used to exist a little bit before COVID. Just blessed to be here and blessed to be back marching a drum corps that super feels like home and just upholds all the values that I'm super geeked out about, you know, in my band experience.
Yeah, and as we all, I mean, you can ask anybody that's ever marched drum corps, and they will tell you the same things that you guys are going to say, which is that this influenced my whole life and set me up to be successful. You know, so many things I learned out there, sweating it out on the field, have really served me well my entire life and my entire career. So, Sammy, I'm going to go to you first because you were the first one on my list, and you are one of the drum majors. How are you guys talking about culture? How's that happening?
No, I don't know.
Sure. So it was actually in a very important conversation, obviously, for marching band and leadership. And actually, I'm going to turn to Josh T. And one of the first things he said is, hey, for this leadership team, I want you to check out this book called The Culture Code. So it was already like pre-season before we even got to move and just already thinking about how are we going to build the culture in a positive way in this organization.
So you started by reading the book. You all read the book?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So who wants to weigh in on the book? How it was helpful, what you learned?
It was kind of a scary assignment at first, I will say. I'm not one person that enjoys reading, especially if I'm going into move-ins, but I trust Josh. And the book did give many insights, and none of them that I read, I guess, pertained to the activity that we do specifically, but there's so many points that you could bring to your team and to this organization.
So nobody
thought about.
Go ahead, Sammy. I'm sorry.
Something from there I thought about from the book is building a culture of vulnerability, right? It's very important to be able to say, you know, even though, you know, I might have a title or somebody might have a title, it's okay. We're all human and we all have different emotions. We all have different experiences, and being able to have a place of vulnerability where you're comfortable talking about it will help members also feel comfortable talking about it and hopefully build everybody with a positive mindset.
Yeah. And I think that's something like, not even like specifically about the book, but just that point Sammy brought up of like that we focus on a lot that ties into that is just drum corps presents itself with a lot of problems and a lot of really adult problems, and just how can we put that ego aside, put our feelings aside, and have those adult conversations so we can continue to be productive and move past those problems. So I love that you brought that up, Sammy. That's amazing.
So Emily, I want you to weigh in on that. You said, while you said that, putting your ego aside and doing what's best for the team, that can be hard in the middle of the drama of a drum corps summer. I mean, there's a lot of pressure all around you.
It so can be. So I obviously am one of the color guard captains, and with color guard comes a lot of drama. Though we try to say it doesn't, it does. And so one of the big things I've learned is like putting any kind of personal like issues aside and making sure that my members are okay first and foremost, and making sure that they know they can always come to me, and building that kind of like foundation of caring that we would need to have, especially with my section, because our average age is 16 and a half, so we have a very young guard. And so making sure that they understand that this is a very adult activity, whether you are an actual adult or not, and making sure they understand that, hey, this is something you chose to do. And I just want them to know that they always have someone on their side, and like have that foundation of like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Maybe they can like copy that and follow those steps too.
Tyler, I want you to weigh in.
There's a trombone behind me, so I'm actually gonna.
Oh,
I'm gonna.
All right, so everybody, we are like in the real world of we're in the real world of drum corps, and there's a okay. So Tyler, I'll come back to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Since there's
go
a
find
trombone
someplace else.
playing in his ear. So this idea of being vulnerable, being real, being authentic, this is this can be pretty intense stuff because you're having to be real. And if you're being vulnerable, obviously you're being authentic. That gives everybody else permission to do that too. But Emily, that can be challenging because you're having to then sort of take down your wall. Being vulnerable puts yourself at risk, right? So how do you deal with that?
A lot of the time drum corps is really hard to find personal time for yourself, but finding that time where you can be like 5 minutes by yourself to be like, hey, like I'm doing this. I am like a lot of these members look up to me and I just have to be like, okay, I am okay. I am going to be okay. If I share these things with these members, it is for the betterment of them and I will be okay with this. And it's a lot of like self reflecting and making sure like clean your house first before you start messing with others. Making sure I'm okay before I start helping others first too.
Do you have an example of the time that you've been able to be sort of real with somebody and it's really paid off and they've responded?
Yeah. So growing up, I didn't have the best home life. It was not something so that I was like very fond of. So band was always kind of my escape. And I have a couple members that like would come up to me with like parental issues, being like, hey, my mom is making me really upset. And I'm just like, like straight up, I'm like, girl, I get it. I like my mom was not the kindest to me. And so she would come up to me and be like, hey, this is what my mom's saying. And I'm just like, I completely understand what you're going through and making sure that you're okay. And one of those things that I've learned with like band being my escape is that I've always learned to separate my personal problems from my band problems. And I always use band as a way to kind of not ignore, but put them aside for a second so that I can focus on what I love to do. And that's performing and getting better, and especially getting better for the students that I teach at home and making sure they're okay. And so I was just talking to her and be like, while you're in rehearsal, don't let what's going outside of rehearsal affect you as much as it can. And making sure that when you're there, you're giving your focus on what we're doing in ensemble or subs or whatever block we're in at that point in time, and making sure we are taking the opportunity to get better and using it to its fullest extent.
Kyle, you've been doing a lot of nodding. I wonder if you want to weigh in on that.
Yeah, just I think we're talking about just how to like put ego aside and like be there for your members. That is sometimes a really hard thing to do. You know, especially in this activity. I feel like coming into it, we all have this mentality of we want to be the best, right? The best possible version of ourselves. And it's very easy to have that change into I want to be better than you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that I've personally had leaders who act that way, and that is so detrimental.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want somebody to stand up in front of me and say, oh, I'm better than you, work harder. You know, I want somebody to be there for me and support me and understand what I'm doing, what I'm going through. And especially coming into this activity for the first time, which is, you know, a majority of our core. This is really hard. And just being able to be that understanding and kind voice for those people who are going through it, I think is so beneficial to, yes, the productivity of the drum corps and just keep people moving and working in the right direction, but also just the experience of the people when they're here. And, you know, yeah.
And their mental well-being is
Yes.
a very big thing to like keep up on here, because this activity is hard. Nobody said it was easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it, but it's not. It's so hard. Ooh. It's very difficult, and making sure that like mentally we are okay. Physically we're gonna hurt, but mentally if we can make sure that our members are okay and that they can continue to keep going, whether it's in block or just making sure they're okay, to like keep being is very, very important.
Yeah, and something like everyone's touched on is just like when you have this bigger picture of what like one conversation, what like one instance of being vulnerable and like validating someone's feelings can do, like it's so much easier in that sense to be vulnerable, knowing like it just takes this one conversation and me saying, I've gone through that, you know, in all of my time, I've experienced exactly what you're experiencing, and look where I'm at now. You're going to be okay. You're going to make it out to this other side. I think something really important to realize is like, you know, we have this guidance, this leadership role, right? But at the same time, we're also experiencing our own membership issues, like as just people. And so I always try to take time for myself and like meditate and breathe during tour so I can clear my mind, because I think at the end of the day, like energy and vibe is super infectious, especially in an environment like this. And like one of my biggest roles, I feel like, is mediating that vibe. Being the mediator of the vibe is what I always say, making sure that the battery or the percussion section is in a place energy, vibe, commitment wise on any given day, any given block, so that we can be comfortable enough to give our best selves. Yeah, like Tyler said, it's not about necessarily I'm trying to beat you, I'm trying to beat me every day, right? And so you have to be completely comfortable, you know, at ease, and be able to be a little vulnerable so that you can be in a headspace to be your best self on that field every single day. So just, I think it's always finding that balance as a leadership of how can I deal with my own problems, but also be strong enough to realize I kind of have to be a parent in a way sometimes. You know, I have to be able to say, I've gone through this. Here's the steps to making it better. We're going to be okay. Yeah.
Yes, and a lot of that has, the interpersonal stuff that you have when you're talking to members between, meal breaks and et cetera, but also that can happen on the field too. For example, even though I'm in the front of the drum corps on a podium, I make mistakes every single day. I get called up from the box as well. So it's, how can I approach my craft and show the membership that I'm willing to improve as well? And hopefully that inspires them to do the same.
Yeah, and if I could just chime in, Tim, I think you're hearing the voices of individuals that are guiding this ship. And when I came on board, once again, a little late in the game, but when I came on board in November, Mark and I spent a lot of time talking together, and of course with the other staff and caption leads that were assembled at the time. And I'll be the first one to tell you, if the leaders of the pack aren't in step, if the leaders of the pack aren't aligned, the organization doesn't stand a chance. And I'm sure you can tell here that we are so fortunate as an organization to have these individuals, these voices, and there's more like this. By the way, we had to kind of reduce it down, right? But there's more like this that we're willing to come together and say, you know what? What if we did things a little differently? Not that anything was terribly broken, not that anything was off, but any performing arts organization, specifically drum corps that we're talking about, COVID was tough, right? I mean. And I know we're done talking about it in some ways, but we're not in other ways where there's ripple effects to things like that. And coming together and learning how to work as a team again, learning how to share space. I mean, close proximity again. We have a handful of brand new members. We are an organization that tends to be younger than some world-class organizations. And I guess I was going to say this, when we were talking about the culture code, Daniel Coyle, I've never met you, but it's a wonderful book and something that we really dove into here as an organization, something that affected me as a leader, and allowed for me to stay in education. Speaking to all you educators out there, if you're listening, you know what I'm talking about. It's a day by day, year by year decision. Do I want to give my energy to this again? Right? It's so it can be very draining, right? And so many challenges, and the challenges add up every year. But I'm speaking for all of us that are still in the game and saying there's so much positive still there, right? There's something we can do through education, but specifically through the performing arts, and even more specifically through drum corps, that we can discover about ourselves. I'm going to mess this up, but there's a quote that I love to say, that sometimes the journey is not so much about discovering who you are, but discovering who you aren't, right? And it's something that always kind of stuck with me. Like, okay, that's not who I am. That's not who I am anymore. I'm going to be this version of myself. And sometimes we can try to turn into the best version of ourselves that maybe wasn't even possible until we came together in this team activity and team. And once again, I know Tim's nodding his head. I'm not. I'm here. I'm here because of the performing arts, and specifically marching arts. And that's one of the reasons I came back. I told these folks on the screen, you might think you know what I want in August 8, 9, 10. You might think you know what the end goal is, but I promise you it's a little different than that with me. For me, I truly want these individuals and anybody that puts on an academy shirt and anybody that steps on the field, I'm motivated by a couple things. One, I want us to learn how to run the race. So I believe that because it is a competitive art form, there's something really unique you can find out about yourself in the midst of competition, right? But doing it the right way, running the race, but with respect and honor, right? We talk a lot about the winner's creed. And we actually had a history night here just a few nights ago, led by Mark Richardson, and just very inspiring, moving night that we went through the years of the organization and what it was founded on. But that mentality, right? And then lastly, what really motivates me is that, once again, if anybody connects themselves at all to the academy, whether they're on the field, the huge decision to come and perform with us this summer, or show up and wear a shirt and cheer for us, we want to make you proud. We want you to be proud that you were attached to that name, that you were an alum sitting out there, wherever it is, online or in a stadium, or whether it's an active performer, that you're proud, right? And you can throw these things around, right? To all of you high school, middle school, college band directors, even leadership. If I'm a brand new trumpet section leader in the fall and I'm trying to figure out how to do this, whatever it is, to all of you, it's really easy to throw these words around. Build your culture. Be better than yesterday. All these, it's really easy. And it's like Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face, right? You have a plan right up until, okay, now I've got this individual that is openly resisting me. Now I have this individual that maybe is talking about wanting to quit, or now I have this individual that's talking about me behind my back. To all of you student leaders, you know what I'm talking about out there if you're listening, right? It's really easy to be inspired and say all the right things, and all of a sudden you hit that first pocket of resistance, and you're like, okay, what chapter is that in the book, right? And kind of start rolling through that in your mind, and you have to come back to: are we going to believe in the key values like building safety? Building a place of inclusivity. It's really easy to say that, but when you put together a bunch of different people, different values, different belief systems, different ages, different walks of life, different parts of the world, right? I have a tuba player that I communicate with them on their phone. Does not speak English, but speaks Japanese, and we communicate back and forth on their phone. I mean, it's really easy to say these things until you have to work through it with all these different backgrounds, right? And coming together to try to build one culture. But how do we build that inclusivity? How do we build that safety? This is a place of safety. It's really easy to say that, but all it takes is one comment, one action, one reaction. We talk a lot about reactions. Reactions even more important than actions. That's all it takes, and all of a sudden that culture is splitting on. And then how do we build vulnerability? Once again, a word that's thrown around a lot. Every Fortune 500 company, every sports team, every performing arts group, you name it, we're going to be a place of vulnerability. Well, how do you establish that? And as these leaders right here are telling you, it comes from the leaders. As you study like the top performing organizations, even in that there's a chapter in the book that dives into the Navy SEALs, and specifically their SEAL Team 6, I think is what it's called, the elite of the elite. And they build this accountability from these AAR or after action reports, and where, okay, we just had a mission, we just had something happen. Now we need to talk about what didn't go well. And you know who goes first? The leader. The leader goes first and admits what they didn't do well, right? And it's that spirit of vulnerability. It's easy to say, but it's very hard to be vulnerable and to admit that. And in that spirit, I would also just tell you, in the spirit of vulnerability, I will tell you that one of the challenges we had, I'm just being super vulnerable right now, is that when you're a corps that finishes in the 18th last year, you don't necessarily have every type of drum corps person seeking your corps. Right, there might be a certain type, maybe a certain, which no offense there, but it's something where we know if an individual is going to choose to march here, and an individual is going to choose to age out here, like these awesome people you see on the screen, or drum majors coming back, and all these things, if they're going to choose that, it's going to have to be for something a little bit more unique. It's going to have to be for something that they believe in. It's going to have to be for a family dynamic, for a true culture that, like, you know what, this feels right. This is a space where I can be safe, where I can be vulnerable. And then ultimately our third pillar, if you will, from that book study, is establishing purpose. It's really easy to say that. Here's our purpose. And then all of a sudden you get in a parking lot and it's just about chasing the score. I mean, right? I mean, it comes down to that at some point. We're chasing a fraction of a this and a that, and we just start getting obsessed with that. But you have to come all the way back. What's our purpose? Stay very focused on the purpose. Let the other things be what they may. There's a whole bunch of variables we can't control, but controlling the ones we can, so that once again, when we're done, John Wooden says, right, success is a peace of mind, knowing you gave your very best, that you can be proud. There's a pride there. I'm very proud of what I've done. And as I told the members, I'm the product of a grandmother that used to say, just do your best. Just do your best. And a grandfather that said, is that your best? Right? And then together, right, that's ultimately the goal, that we do truly build each other up, but we also pull, we call each other up, right? Call each other up to a higher standard all the time. Is that our best? Is that truly our best? I believe it's, and I, the leader, I'm going to show you, I, the leader, I'm going to put myself through the trenches as well. So I'm going to stop talking, but hopefully you understand, those of you out there listening, high school band directors still thinking like, is this worth it? Do I have a chance at breaking through with these students, college band directors, DCI, drum corps, anyone, right? Where it's like, I don't know if I can break through this generation, right? All the things we say, right? How do I get that buy-in back in my day, right? All those things, right? I truly believe, once again, that we have a unique opportunity, and I'm going to come back to that word too many times, but we have a unique opportunity in this art form, in this activity, to break through in a way that is not even possible in so many other areas of our society. And I believe it's more important now than ever. I believe it's the core of who I am. And some people say, well, is drum corps dying, or is the marching arts dying, or pageantry arts? I'm going to tell you right now, I believe in it more now than ever. I'm impassioned for it more now than ever. And that words like discipline, integrity, vulnerability, all these things that we're talking about are not dead. That we can be the examples of that in our world, in our society. And may these individuals be the example for the adults out there and maybe not getting it right in our world right now. So I'm going to pause, but that was our goal. That was our goal in assembling all of the individuals that we're going to put their name, we're going to wear the name Academy.
That was wonderful. Thank you. And so, okay, that was a lot to unpack, but the lot, so many great points. So let's talk about this. You guys are important leaders. You decided to come to the Academy. So I didn't want you to tell me why you're at the Academy this summer, or tell me a little bit about how you're implementing this in your own situation. I think that would be really interesting. Like Kyle, you did a lot of nodding when he was talking. So I guess I'm going to naturally go to you first. Think about the drum line. Are we creating an environment of caring? That's not the first word that comes to my mind when I think about the drumline dynamic. Although I know you guys do all care for each other. Maybe it's how you show it, right? So let's talk about this. Either why you are at the Academy, or how this is working in the drumline.
Yeah, I can touch on both a little bit. I think to answer as short as possible, because I could go on for a really long time about why I'm here. A couple things are like, every year I've come back, I've always felt like there's been plenty to learn. And so that's kept me from feeling like I need to be anywhere else, because there's always plenty for me to learn. I'm never feeling like I've ended a summer in the same spot I've started, right? And then the other one is just something I geeked out on my whole marching career. Is it's a very fulfilling feeling to know you're writing something in the history books of an organization, to know that you're like actually making a very impactful contribution. And not to say that any marching member on any field anywhere this summer isn't making an extremely impactful contribution just by being there, because you need every single member of the team to execute their job for everyone to get out of it what they want to. But it's just a little different. The feeling's a little different when you are looking back on it, and it's like, okay, I've been with Tyler for 4 years, and look where we're at now at the top of this, and seeing all these things that have changed and gotten so much better. I've been doing this with Sammy since like he was running Met for the Battery my second year, and he was just back there crabbing along with the Met with us, and like seeing him now grow into this amazing leader alongside all of us, and just like really have all this respect from all the members of the drum corps. Things like that are very, very fulfilling. And make like moments like an end of a marching career feel very, very impactful for me as an individual. So I would say those are some of the big reasons why I'm back. And then how it's going in the Battery is like, I think you're right. It's really hard to think about like the touchy-feely side of things, and like vulnerability and like caring when you think about the drum line, because it's very like intense. You always see him going at it. And the mentality generally is very like intense. Let's get our reps. Like we want to get as many reps as possible, just super urgent about everything. But I think how we've handled this year, which has been really cool, and like some of the subsection leaders alongside of me have been absolutely fantastic at setting this example, but just being overly positive. Yeah. We have staff member Jim Ragsdale who talked to us the other night about like it only takes one bad rep, one negative mindset, you know, one kind of comment under the breath on the field that didn't need to be said, right? To like totally change the tide towards negativity and unproductivity, right? But and the same like side of things, it only takes one positive comment or one really great rep or one really good thing of reinforcement to get the tide going in the positive direction. So something we've been doing in the battery is just being overly positive, not really false hype, but just hyping ourselves up when we don't feel like we truly have it deep down until it becomes like a real tangible like feeling within ourselves. And so seeing that like overly positive mentality about everything spread to the battery and get people to kind of like put their feelings aside and really buy in, and now seeing how it's spreading across the whole drum corps has been really good. It's just like people running back everywhere, you know, shouting hype at each other, just smiling. And it's like we're going through the worst parts of the day and people got the biggest smiles on their face and laughing. So it's good to see that, because if you can do that, it's like everyone's having fun, and now we're going to get so much better on the field.
Eric, you were nodding when he was talking about that, keeping things positive, keeping the energy in the hardest part of the day. Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, definitely. So I guess my position as drum major in the front is probably one of the most visible, I guess. So whatever I'm doing, I definitely understand that the rest of the corps is reflecting on. So if I'm standing up there with my head down and not in the best mood, I guess that could probably feed off into the corps. And the culture code also did, I don't mean to go back to that, but did kind of touch base on that. It was about someone who joined a team and showed three different personalities, I guess, if you will, saying that, you know, this person was the depressor, came into the meeting very sad and very depressed, and that reflected on the whole team, and they got nothing done. So if I come out of rehearsal feeling like I did nothing or I didn't contribute, I'd really feel bad for myself and the rest of the corps. But I also find the moments, you know, to find things that people are interested in. So I'm just like, hey guys, if you're ready for a rep, let me hear you say, oh yeah. So, you know, have that really good release moment of we're in rehearsal and everything's so tense and so stressful, but like, you know, just getting that one moment of, like I said, release and be able just to be yourself for just 1 second goes a long way. And it's like mentally taxing activity.
And as a leader, it's very important to do what I've heard it described as wearing different hats. And I don't mean be disingenuous, be, you know, a different person behind closed doors. No, you should be, you know, yourself. You should be a good leader wherever you go. But I just mean when I'm on the podium, right, it's a little bit different than if I was off the podium. When I'm in the food line, I want to talk to people. I want to, you know, mingle, meet friends, you know, be myself, have these funny relations, have these good relations with people of the drum corps, because I want them to know me not only as somebody who claps their hands, but as somebody who they can genuinely talk to and maybe even make them laugh if I'm funny enough.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tyler. So go ahead, Kyle.
I was just going to jump in real quick before Tyler on Sammy's thing of, this is something we said to the battery the other night of like, when we talk about how do you, I don't necessarily always subscribe to like that flipping the switch analogy, because I think there's a certain level of on you have to be all the time to really do this at like the highest level. But how do you go from like maybe a little less on to fully in it? And we talked to the battery about like when I get on the field in like a full ensemble or a very, very important block and I get behind that drum, like it's no longer just I'm Kyle, right? It's that I'm a snare drummer for the academy now. When I get behind the drum, that's how I view myself is I'm a snare drummer for the academy. Here are my roles. These are my jobs. Like this is what I have to execute. And just, I think that's exactly what Sammy was saying is the different hats, understanding like there's times where I'm just Kyle, the leader, and we're outside of it and I'm just mingling or offering some advice or whatever. But then when it's on the field, like even for myself, it's less about all of these other things we've talked about and just more so about like, what is business? When I get behind that drum, it's business time.
Love it.
That's great. So Tyler, you've been with the Corps. You're an important. Why are you still at the academy? And And how are you bringing all this stuff to your role?
So my time here at the academy has been the most fulfilling and just like growing experience of my life. I came in that first year as 18-year-old rookie, had no idea what I was doing, left home for the first time. And, I fell in love with this place. And every year since then, I've come back and I have wanted to give that experience to all the new people coming in. And that is a really big motivator for me, especially this year, given the role that I'm in, the membership that we have coming in. I really want to help people fall in love with this place the same way that I did. And that was a big reason of why I decided to come back this year, one last time. And the way to, I guess, bring that in that I've been trying to do is I just want people to feel like they belong here, to feel like they are allowed to be themselves here, the same way that I did. And, I've tried really hard to, even just the tiniest little thing that I do is I try to have at least one moment with each person in my home line, every few days or something. But anything from a 20-minute conversation about, how we're doing, what's going on, to just, a staff member says something a little funny, and you make eye contact across the arc and just have a little smile. And I think having that level of connection with people and something they talked about in the book we all read, they called them belonging cues. Just being able to have that tiny little moment with each individual person, I think is incredibly powerful. I think it brings me closer to them. It makes them feel like they can be closer to me. So when there are actual issues and problems, they're a lot more comfortable coming to me with them. And we can actually sit down and have a conversation. We have that common ground and that established connection already, which makes it a lot easier. But then also pushing the values of this organization, the idea that, like we say all the time, the effort is the prize. Everyone nodded their head. We say that a lot here. The idea behind that, just that it really doesn't matter what happens at the end of the year. It doesn't matter what other people think about our show. What matters is that we showed up every day, worked as hard as we can, gave everything that we had, did everything that we could. We were everything that we could possibly be. And that is the prize. Mm-hmm. Placement doesn't matter. The anything else. But yeah, that's
well, and I feel like I have to jump in, Tyler, and I want you to know that like I marched. Jeez, do I have to do the math? All right, I marched 40 years ago. Okay, everybody. We'll say I was just a tiny, tiny child at the time. But anyway, so you know what I remember about my time with the Phantom Regiment? Like, I don't remember. I couldn't even tell you like necessarily where we placed each year. Like, I remember being with my friends and being on the field and loving the relationships and working together and like some great performance. But like, this is what I remember. And everybody go back and watch I did a recording with me and some of my fellow French horn Dougal guys from the regiment. And like, that's what we talked about when we got back together 30 years later. Was like, that's what we remember. So that's what matters. Emily, you are back. You're aging out with the Academy. Let's talk about it. Why are you still at the Academy? And what are you doing to bring this belonging and these experiences to your guard crowd?
I will try not to cry because I have been like ignoring the fact that I'm an age out for so long now, because this is my 5th year doing DCI. Though it might only be my 3rd year with the Academy. I've been doing this since I was 15 years old. So the fact that it's coming to an end is very surreal because this has been a huge part of my life for so long now. But the best way to put it is the Academy has always felt like home to me. It has just always felt like a place where I was encouraged to get better. Mark Richardson founded this organization, being an education-focused organization, and that is something I really take to heart because I go home to Idaho and I teach students there. and the foundational knowledge of how to be a good educator that I get from being with the academy is something that I will always cherish. And it's the reason I keep coming back, because if I want to be a great leader and a great educator, I'm at the best place to learn how to do that. I have the most incredible techs this season, and I couldn't be more grateful to be allowed to come back, because I came in late this season. And then being given a leadership role and being allowed to learn under these staff and really improve both as a performer, but also learning better ways to educate and help my students when I go home. That's something that always keeps me coming back. 22 was a rough year for color guard staff, but 23 made it a lot better, and 24 is just hitting it out of the park with our staff currently. And so I love it here. I love being here. I love just what it means to be a part of the academy. I remember 16-year-old me marching another corps, watching academic and going, oh my God, I want to do that. I want to be with them. Like, that's what I want to do one day. And so it feels very surreal being like, oh my God, I made it. I'm aging out with the corps that like made me want to be better in like the best way. And so with color guard, I cherish that a lot, and I am a huge educational focused person. I love helping people. That has always been something, even since I was a little kid. I would always share my food with people and like try and make them better before I was okay. And so I take that and bring that into the color guard and helping them and making sure they're okay and making sure that they know that like I am always there for them. And I feel like I've been doing a pretty good job at that, because I'm usually the first person that a lot of my members come to with issues, to be like, hey, Emily, this is happening, or hey, Emily, I'm not feeling very okay. Can I talk to you about that? And I'm always there lending an ear for them, because this is hard. This is so hard. I don't think I can like express that enough. And so being an age out also helps. I'm the only age out in the color guard, so it's very real now. Like it's finally like sinking in that this activity I've been doing for so long, like the chapter of me performing, is finally coming to a close. And I just like, I can't think about that too hard. I'm waiting till closer to the end of the season to think about that a little more.
Yeah, I would tell you, don't think about it at all, Emily. Just think
Yeah,
about every
yeah.
day, soaking up every minute and enjoying every second. And if you have those students coming to you, you're doing all the right things. So just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Good
And
for
Tim-
you.
I just love this. I love this course so much, man.
And Tim, I might just interject, if once again, if there's individuals listening, if you're a student leader, an adult leader, director, just make sure you're hearing what some of these folks is being said right now. For instance, even with Emily, she's the only age out. So think about the inherent discouragement there, right? And just like, really, I'm the okay, because sometimes you hope for a few more at your level, even just level in life, or like, hey, there's a few of us that are at this end of the journey that we can kind of help explain. I've seen the finish line. I've been through this a few times. We have a significant percentage. I should be able to tell you, but I can't. I don't have it off the top of my head, but a significant percentage across this core of first-year members. And to the directors out there, they're like, I had some seniors that didn't sign up this year. Or core directors like, why did some of those age outs come back? And we can keep ourselves up at night with that. But first of all, for me, I'm thankful for the ones that did. I focus on the ones that did, but then also, finding the positive in all things, right? And so, well, I will tell you, just for instance, our color guard being younger this year, we have one age out, right? And quite a few first-year members out there in drum corps. This is a color guard. You will see improvement every time we perform, and that's kind of exciting, right? I mean, every version you will see of us, you will see this growth literally before your very eyes, growing up and gaining experience. And Emily was willing to buy into that and to be, you know what? I know I'm the only age out, but I'm here to share my experiences, and not in a pointing down and not in a looking down where, I have privilege and you don't type thing, that whole, sometimes the thing from even drum corps past, where that's sometimes can be an issue where the age outs have all this privilege or whatever. No. I'm here. I'm shoulder to shoulder with you, arm in arm. We will push together and we will get better every time. Anyway, I think there's a way to find the positive in all things. I just wanted to say thank you to someone like Emily, for instance, for helping me with that cause, even in her section.
We're going through
really,
the suck together.
yeah,
That's
absolutely.
the
You're
best thing
lifting
that we can
everybody up.
say.
Yeah, and I would encourage everybody, go to a drum corps show this summer live and clap, and know that these people are on a journey where every day they're growing unbelievably amounts, and a lot of them started without much experience, and so where the corps end up at the end is just miraculous, quite honestly. We're going to go around. I'm going to ask each of the members to just say one thing, like not a long treatise or anything, just a couple things, like just one thing you're looking forward to this summer, or something you love about the corps, just one little thing you'd like to leave people with. And Sammy, I know it's not fair, but I'm going to ask you to go first. What would you like to say? Just one quick thing that leave people with, and then I'm going to let you guys get back to rehearsal because I feel bad I pulled you so much. So Sammy, go ahead.
Sure, no worries. So something I'm fortunate about is that we have great people in this organization, from the top all the way through the members. And it makes it, I'm going to use the word easy, because it's easy to build connections with people. It's easy to have tough conversations because I trust everybody so much, and I hope they feel the same. Anybody in this call, I feel like I could have a difficult conversation with, and we could do positive work because we have those just great connections. So we're spoiled by just how fantastic everybody is up here.
That's wonderful. Eric, how about you? Final thoughts.
To anyone wanting to march drum corps, honestly, find the place that you are you, where you can be you, and just find your home. Because if you're wanting to march drum corps, this is going to be your home away from home. And my rookie season, it was scary. I didn't know how to adapt being away from home. So I allowed myself to just live the present day every single day with the people. And so I had to essentially, to get comfortable, I had to get uncomfortable and start meeting new people, break out of my comfort zone. And now I made the decision to come back, and it was definitely a hard decision, but it was the right decision.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad that you are back, and you're going to have a wonderful summer. Tyler, I'll go to you next.
Well, I just want to say, keep your eyes peeled. We got big things coming out of Tempe this year. And I think we're going to get a lot of people talking, and I think we're going to turn a lot of heads. And, I am so incredibly honored to be a part of this journey and to be a part of this corps.
It's very cool. By the way, if you're watching the video version, everybody, learn these faces, because you will see them on the field and you're going to be clapping for them, and you'll be like, wow, that's like a celebrity. I saw them on the interview. Emily, what would you like to say in closing?
I am very excited to make people want to march this organization, because that is what happened to me in 2018 and 2019. And I just want people to want to be here because it's my home. And if it can be other people's home away from home, that is all I ask for.
It's wonderful. Okay, Kyle, I am giving you the final word. What would you like to say in closing up the conversation?
Yeah, I actually wanted to leave with something that's been on my mind a lot this season. I've talked to the percussion section about, which is something everyone's keyed on, is just this thing is more about us as humans and people and what we learn than it is about excellence, right? It's always about being excellent, but it's what we learn through doing that. Yeah. Everyone's going to be excellent when they get to Lucas Oil. Everyone's going to be clean. Every single group's going to perform amazingly on the field, right? So it's more about what you learn in the other 80 days of the experience before you show up there. Ryan Springler summed it up best in one sentence that I'll leave with, which is, drum corps is a rock tumbler for smoothing out the soul. Yeah, there's so many crazy things you learn doing this activity. So just to everyone out there doing it, you're not alone together. And just remember, you're going to learn a lot of really cool stuff about yourself that you're going to take into every single phase of life.
Well, that's fantastic. That sounds exactly like something Ryan Springler would say. and everybody go to our website at marchingartseducation.com and put Ryan Springler in, and you will see some interviews with him where he shares some concepts that are amazing. So we have to end this conversation. I'm so impressed with all of you. Thank you for stopping in the middle of tour and talking to me. I want to get you back on the field and get you back with your core as quickly as possible. So Sammy and Eric, Tyler, Kyle, Emily, thank you so much for taking time to talk to me. And Josh, thank you so much for putting this together. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tim.
Yep. All right, we're
Thank
done
you.
there. Thank you, guys. That was really, really good. I so appreciate you giving me this much time today. And I do feel guilty having you pulled you away from the core.
Please don't worry.
Okay. Well, I want you to get back out there and keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a lot of things right, Josh. You've instilled a lot of great concepts through that book and otherwise that are really paying off clearly.
Well,
And
I
look forward to clapping for
folks.
you guys this summer. So
Yeah.
good luck. Soak up every second. It's going to go fast. Enjoy every second of it.
Right on. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome.
Marching Arts Education is the home of the Marching Roundtable podcast. We give you access to the top marching arts professionals through live webinars, podcasts, videos, interviews, and online coursework. With over 1,000 podcasts and hundreds of webinars and videos, there are hours of great professional development for you and your staff. Sign up for a membership to Marching Arts Education to get complete access to all webinars, videos, and podcasts, plus discounts on coursework. Many directors are using professional development funds through their school or boosters to make these resources available to their staff. Imagine what you could do with so many great new ideas from the top professionals in our activity. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and sign up for our newsletter to find out about the latest podcasts, webinars, and new content. Find all of this and sign up at marchingartseducation.com.